Today is June 17th, the same day that a video will premiere on my YouTube channel about the night of the Bayonets that happened at Florida State University in 1969. I know this is going to come out a little bit, actually probably about 3 weeks after today. The video will be out for about 3 weeks when this comes out. And I know I was supposed to put out the next podcast, dealing with reviews and things dealing with the business side of writing, but that'll come later. It is coming. I wanted to talk a little bit about incorporating the Night of the Bayonets into the story. I didn't know anything about the Night of the Bayonets. Never heard of it. Not until I started writing Perfidious Tides. As we can see, and spoilers, be forewarned, if you haven't read the book, stop right now, go read the book, come back. But that kind of, I don't want to say disobedience. And as I was discussing the Night of the Bayonets with someone the other day, they asked me why Florida, and I really didn't have an answer. I mean, Tallahassee is in the Panhandle. Florida, if you're not familiar with the population, the politics, and all of the state of Florida, is like two separate countries, two separate states, excuse me. North Florida is more southern in general, and I say from about Orlando northward, as you go through Gainesville, as you go through Ocala, Lake City, up in that area, Live Oak. And Live Oak is that little area right there where I-75 and I-10 come together, and you head either on the Jacksonville, turn south to Central Florida, on to Tampa, or you head north to Georgia if you're coming from the Panhandle. And I call it the sweet tea line. Orlando, you can hardly find a glass of sweet tea at a restaurant. It's Orlando. I've never been too far south past Orlando. But Orlando, I have been to several restaurants where you cannot find sweet tea. And that is kind of like the linear right there. Northward is very southern. You've got horse ranches, you've got cow pastures, you've got crops here and there, and you can see a little bit of I-75 as you're making your way down. The South Florida is more northern, if that makes any sense. The old joke is the further south you go in Florida, the further north you go, and that's true to an extent. I know on the Gulf Coast side of South Florida, there's some areas that's probably more southern, but most part, Orlando South is more northern. Now, the Panhandle itself is different altogether. And I'm not saying this in a derogatory manner or anything of the nature. It's more Alabama-ish, for lack of a better term, than any other part of Florida. And it's surprising that the protest, the Night of the Bayonets, happened at Florida State, which is right on the edge, I would say, of the Panhandle. I usually consider the Panhandle from Tallahassee over to the Alabama line toward Pensacola and Gulf Shores, over that area. Because that district, and I used to work with FDOT just a little bit, and that district pretty much runs from Tallahassee over the Alabama line, that transportation district. And it's really country. A lot of good people in the Panhandle. I work with a lot of good people down there. I know a lot of good people in the Panhandle, just good country folks. And that's what I say by more Alabama-ish. That is like an extension, even though they probably don't want to admit this, it's like an extension of Alabama. Some people even derogatorily call it Lower Alabama. But it's very much the same politically, culturally, as Alabama. And as I've said before, I grew up within 50 miles of the Florida line, 50 miles of the Georgia line, so I know the Panhandle fairly well. And it struck me when I started doing research for Perfidious Tides that this happened at, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, at Florida State. Now that question's got me interested in the wine part of it. I'm going to have to investigate that a little bit. I found one book on it, and it was by the president, I believe, of Florida State, or about the president of Florida State at the time. And it wasn't a very good book. It was very boring. It was from his perspective. And it was kind of skewed toward the right a little bit. And I didn't enjoy the book. I finished it. But as I wrote Vern's character, I was thinking, you know, he's going to get into something in college. You've got the father, Pops, you know, old school, Panhandle, Southern. You do what you're supposed to do. And I think that trickled into Rolfe just a little bit, even though he really didn't want to go into the military. But I think he came to terms with it. I mean, he had no choice, but. And Vern, in his own way, wanted to fight from another perspective. And the Night of the Bayonets, when I discovered it, when I started doing research on protests in this area of Florida, I discovered the Night of the Bayonets. The video I put out today is going to release in about an hour from now. It tells a story that a lot of people probably don't even know. Even if you grew up in the Panhandle, it is very doubtful that you ever heard of the Night of the Bayonets. It wasn't bloody. It wasn't mass violence. It could have been. I mean, the tension was there. The intent was there. But somehow cooler heads prevailed. But in the book, we see a little bit of a fictionalized version of the Night of the Bayonets. There was a little bloodshed. There was a little violence. Because that is the night where Patty Lee, quote unquote, found Vern laying there as she covered him up to keep him from getting maybe even killed that night. And we see further in the story that it wasn't really a coincidence. But that is where they met, on the Night of the Bayonets. And Vern kind of takes that with him. That is kind of a turning point in his psyche. When it comes out further in his congressional election campaign, where all he has to do is toe the line. Toe the line. Patty Lee's father's money is going to take him to Washington. They're going to have this great life up there. He's going to be a congressman. She's going to be a congressman's wife. And the old man's down there pulling the strings. All he had to do was toe the line. But the way I wrote Vern, he couldn't do that. That turning point, the Night of the Bayonets, would not let him do that. His experience in the Night of the Bayonets would not let him toe the line, do as told, play the part. And that is really, really the turning point in his life. At that point, I believe Patty Lee realized that she's not going to be able to control Vern. And that's what led her in the direction that she did. The old man, you know, he was a coward anyway, in my eyes, the way he went out. I mean, such disappointment in things that he had set in motion. for Vern just to fuck the system and go the direction that he went. But it all goes back to the night of the Bayonets. And I included a little excerpt from the book in that video. And it's at the point where Vern realizes there's nowhere he can go. It's before Patty Lee, it's before his encounter with authority. But when he looks around, all the doors are sealed. There's nowhere to go. And I think that kind of put that caged animal fear in Vern that he had to break out of, if not physically, mentally. And we see him, especially in Live the Last Day, where that mental part is breaking. We saw it a little bit in prison in Last Castle in the Sky, where his mind just couldn't take it. And he starts breaking with reality. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit, dealing with Vern, was in the last book. If you haven't read it, stop now. I had watched the movie A Beautiful Mind as I was writing the last act of the story. And I was thinking of John Nash, the physicist, a mathematician, that couldn't discern reality from truth. I mean, reality from the truth in his mind, let me say it that way. Seeing people that weren't there. And I have never known someone personally. Now, I've been close to a couple of instances. Not really close, but I've heard of a couple of instances of people in that condition. But Vern split. His mind cracked. And he couldn't tell reality from fiction anymore. The truth in his mind no longer matched what was happening in the real world. And that's when he invented Robin Marceau. And she came into the picture. And only in his mind. Like I said, spoilers. If you haven't read the book, stop. Don't listen any further. Go read the book and come back. But Vern is a tragic character. As I'm sitting here thinking about the character as I wrote it, it's kind of sad. And I think Rolf sees that at the end. That he's been manipulated by other people. Both of them have. And he kind of, even though what happened with Cliff and Vern, even though that stings him to the core, how could it not? He has vowed that day to take care of his brother. And that no more on my watch. And I've thought about writing more on this family. And I've been thinking about here lately about how does that happen? Does it work? Does Vern get better? Does it get worse? Is Rolf able to hold back emotions enough to help his brother who did the unspeakable horror that he did in Live the Last Day? We're going to have to revisit it at some point. I don't care if the books ever become bestsellers other than, Amazon here and there. It's something that I want to know. And I won't know until I start typing the story. I won't know how it ends. I didn't know how this book was going to end until I wrote it, how this story was going to end. I think the question of Vern and Rolf is more profound than anything anybody else does in the story going forward. But to write that story, you'd also have to include Casey, Katie. I mean, you have to wonder by that unfinished business that Mateo went off to take care of. I pretty much know where Mateo was going. I hope you do too. Because Mateo, another character that, if you haven't noticed anything about my writing, and I've said it before, nobody's inherently evil, nobody's inherently good. It's what you do on that day. It's what you got deep down. You may can do unspeakable things, but still have the best of intentions. So their story's still there. But it all goes back to that first turning point, the Night of the Bayonets. So if you haven't ever heard of the Night of the Bayonets, it's on my YouTube channel at Pelham, Pugh. I would like for you to go back and take a look. It's very short, maybe 7 or 8 minutes, but a lot of information is packed into that 7 or 8 minutes. And seeing how there's only one book on the subject, I would like to do some more investigating. I wish before that generation is gone, somebody needs to get all the story of why it happened. There may not be a why right now, like when that question was proposed to me the other day. Why did it happen at Florida State? I mean, why Florida State? Why were those students ready to confront the situation head on? There could be a book there. Is it fiction or non-fiction? I think there's a story there. Maybe someone who was watching that go down had something to say about it, or has a story. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Well, I just wanted to jot that down or put it down before I forgot about this. I think about things a lot of times, and so that make a good podcast, and I lose my mind. I don't think about it anymore. But as I was home by myself today, said I want to get this down before I forget about it. So as always, I appreciate everything that people have done in support of the channel, the writing, everything. It means a lot. Every review, every like, every comment, it does not go unnoticed. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.